President Trump promised to bring down prices on day one, so this is probably not the news he wants to hear. Inflation is going in the wrong direction. Up. This morning, we got the latest consumer price index report, and it found everything we buy, eat, and use increased 3% between January of this year and January of last year. It also increased 0.5% between December and January. Now, to be clear, the Federal Reserve's goal is to have inflation at 2% year over year. It's at 3%, which is not 2%. So what's going on? Well, the Bureau of Labor Statistics found shelter, gasoline, and food are really causing the problems. Shelter continues to increase. This is not a new trend here, but in January, shelter was up almost 4.5% from last year. The gasoline index is basically flat between January 2024 and January 2025, but between December and January, it jumped almost 2%. And the cost of food is definitely up. The grocery index is up 2.5% between January 2024 and January 2025, and the index for food at restaurants is also up almost 2% year over year. And I hope you're sitting down for this one. Egg prices. I'm not sure I've ever seen a number like this on a CPI report. The egg index is up 53% between January 2024 and January 2025. And between December and January, the egg index is up more than 15%. Now, of course, a lot of that has to do with the bird flu, which has led to egg shortages across the country. But it's not just those things. We're also seeing increases in car insurance, prescription drugs, and plane tickets. But there are some notable decreases to tell you about too, including for things like smartphones and household furnishings. Now, before I tell you about what this report is probably going to mean for your interest rates and what President Trump has to say about that, I want to make sure that you know you need to be signed up for my Facts HQ email. I send that out every single night. It is an excellent resource. Look, we don't know what's going to happen with TikTok, so signing up for that free Facts HQ email is the best way for you to continue to get news from me. Sign up for it right after you watch this video. Okay, now back to your interest rates. Today, President Trump posted this to his social media page. Interest rates should be lowered, something which would go hand in hand with incoming tariffs. Let's rock and roll, America. Just yesterday, the Fed chairman testified in front of a Senate committee, and he said, that's not going to happen.
We're in a pretty good place with this economy. We want to make more progress on inflation, and we think our policy rate is in a good place, and we don't see any reason to be in a hurry to reduce it further.
That's the Fed chairman's polite way of saying inflation is not going in the direction we want to see. The chairman also talked a lot during that hearing about the uncertainty around how Trump's tariff policy and immigration policy is going to affect the U.S. economy. And he said if rates are lowered too soon, we are going to see inflation spike right back up big time, and things are going to get much, much worse. So the Fed is going to be keeping rates at this level for a while longer. It's really economics 101. It's also true, though, that this CPI report only accounts for the first 11 days of the Trump presidency. But those were pretty eventful days full of big economic policy changes. So we will get a better picture of how exactly these Trump policies are affecting the U.S. economy in next month's report. Meanwhile, Senator Kennedy, a Republican from Louisiana, said the American people should feel good about this economy, and the Federal Reserve and the chairman should be commended for all their efforts to keep the economy so steady.
Well, have we experienced a hard landing?
No, we sure haven't.
Are we in a recession?
No, we're not.
I call that a soft land. And it seems to me that you and some of the ladies and gentlemen who are your colleagues at the Federal Reserve behind you deserve some credit for that.